Good day. I'm Leo from the Interdisciplinary Studies Department, and welcome to today's session of the Public Intellectual Lecture Series. Our topic for today is climate change in the Philippines, and we have for today's guest the former Executive Director of the Manila Bay Coordinating Office of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the current Commissioner of the Climate Change Commission, Engineer Noel Gaerlan. Thank you very much, Engineer Gaerlan, for accommodating us for today's session.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So, our discussion is mainly about climate change, but perhaps you could give us a brief overview or a brief historical background of the climate change discourse in the Philippines, especially where we were before and where we are now.
Well, talking about climate change, a very typical example of if there's really an evidence of climate change happening in the Philippines is if you monitor the storm tracks of previous storms. Mostly it hits Luzon and some of it hits the Visayas region. But now, in the late 90s to the 2000 onwards, the track is becoming more frequent in the Mindanao region. And it's getting more intense and frequent. So a classic example is the one that happened in Mindanao, wherein two typhoons struck Mindanao in just a matter of a week of interval, and it caused severe devastation throughout the whole region. That happened, I think, 2017, Eastern Visayas and in the Mindanao region.
So basically, sir, what we're now seeing is there's a change, and am I correct in assuming that it's also more unpredictable now, in the sense na before we know the direction, now we're saying the direction is now shifting, no? If it usually hit Luzon before, am I correct? It's now starting in the Mindanao. No?
Yeah. Well, it's one more contrasting to that is, aside from it being more intense, the rainfall coverage and the wind, and in between the typhoons, the dry spell is becoming worse. So before we're talking about extremes of just about mid-30s to say 39, 38 degree temperature. Now we're talking about 42, 45, 46 degrees temperature. So there's a very big difference in terms of yung exposure natin sa temperature.
So basically, sir, di ba parang just recently, just this year, di ba, there was this dry spell in Manila, di ba? To the point that we had to ration water. So can we expect, or did that happen in the past, or is this may nakita na natin historically we are reaching, or we're going to reach that point and it will get worse? No?
There have been records before of critical levels in terms of water supply. But if you talk of warming temperatures now, the rate of evaporation increases. So we're not actually expecting a rapid decrease in the water levels, but it happened. And it was way below the critical levels. Kaya may rationing in Metro Manila, diba? And it involved the two concessionaires. So yun ang very glaring ngayon.
So yung next question ko dyan is, given this given how climate has shifted, no, parang apparently what I'm inferring is it's not just about water, it's about wind direction, diba? It's about rainfall, it's about increases in temperature, no? So how had these shifts affected Filipinos basically? Because one would assume if we're talking about weather, buong bansa natin yung apektado, the entire country would be affected, no? But specifically, how had it affected the country and Filipinos?
Wow, that's a very broad question, and it's actually more complex than that. Talking about Yolanda, for example, previously 2013, the storm surge brought about by the severe or the intensity of the storm reached levels that really killed a lot of people. That's a first. And they're saying actually fisheries is also being affected. So kaya ko sinasabing it's complex, it's across everything. So what is evident to us is just the storms. What is evident to us is just the flood. But it's more than that. We haven't even accounted for the impacts to health, which now, take for example, dengue case is they called the national crisis already because of the
Epidemya na siya,
of
no?
the dengue, di ba? And that hasn't happened before. So we're saying now it becomes the changing climate becomes a fertilizer, so to speak, to other factors that tend to thrive more, like sa lamok. And sa fisheries naman, warmer temperatures, water temperatures would make them less visible in areas where they normally are present. Maghahanap yan ng cooler waters. So, nahirapan tayo mangisda ngayon. Corals are affected because they're stationary, and a degree of change in temperature causes coral bleaching. So, those are just a few of examples to that effect. Yung sa complexity ng buong changing climate conditions.
Sige sir, let's talk about economics kasi that's a very critical component. You were mentioning about fishery, no? So, you mentioned it drives away fishes, no? Tama ba? So, because of the climate change, it's making fishing both local and large, or both small scale and large scale sustainable, or nag-aano ba siya? Ano ba yung prospects natin? Magiging problematic ba in the long term ang prospects natin sa fishing, lalo na sa mga maliliit na mangingisda natin?
Aside from increasing demand due to increasing population, you add on the changing environmental conditions, warmer waters, for example. I'd like to throw in a question to you. If you were acclimatized in a temperature that makes you comfortable, and suddenly I expose you to a condition na, let's say for example, mas mainit. So the normal tendency is for you to seek cooler areas.
Alis ako syempre.
Para komportable ka, di ba? So ganun din ang nangyayari sa isda. So if I stay there and it becomes warmer, then I'll die. So that's the behavior also of marine species. The problem is the predation cycle, or the predation habits of this marine species also changes. So nandun yung nagiging complex and compounded yung problema underwater, and the problem is we cannot see them.
So kung syempre, no, if affected yung fisheries ng climate change, yung kakabit niya is agriculture, no?
Agriculture.
How does ano na yung nakikita nating parang symptoms or the symptoms of climate change affecting our agricultural sector?
Sa agri naman, it's prolonged exposure to both conditions, drought and wet weather. Sa drought, it's becoming more severe. As I mentioned kanina, from let's say a high of 38 degrees, now we're getting 46. If in fact even other countries are hitting beyond 50.
50 Celsius.
50 Celsius.
So half half of the boiling point.
You know, you break an egg,
Uh.
put it on a rack, and allow it to stay there for about 10-15 minutes. Then you have a sunny side up. So
That's 50 degrees.
that's how hot
na,
it
no?
is. And a lot of people are being hospitalized because of heat stroke.
Mm.
Now, I say prolonged because supposed to be, historically, yung May,
Oo,
month
diba?
of May mo,
Mm.
normally it already has rain.
Dapat tag-ulan, tag-init lang tayo. Parang ganun.
Kailan pumasok yung ulan ngayon? August na.
Mm.
August na. And on the other side of the story naman, yung wet season mo naman, it becomes more devastating because of the intensity of the storms, the frequency of the rain, and it causes flooding, sedimentation. So a lot of stress is being put into the crops. That's not actually their normal environment.
So, basically, sir, the crops that were growing before, it's no longer possible or there will come a time na hindi na siya posible. Parang ganun ba yung...
Yeah, tingnan mo naman ngayon. No? So what are they developing now? Drought-resistant seeds or plants and flood-resistant palay. Palay. Pero may limit lang yan. It has a limit. You know, you can only expose them to a certain time for a particular time, and beyond that, they will not really thrive. So if you're talking about prolonged exposure to drought, I think that would not solve the problem. If we're talking about prolonged exposure to flooding, malulusaw yung pananim mo. So, still balik na naman tayo doon sa situation wherein you really have to adapt physically what to do with your crops and agriculture.
May na-detect ba tayo, sir, na trends when it comes to agriculture or fishery? Parang ano ba, bumababa ba yung ano natin, yung yield natin or yung production natin for the past few years?
Of course, yes. Ang sinasabi natin before, yung fish catch mo would be about 6 kilograms per unit of effort, if I'm not mistaken. Now we're down to about 2 or 1 point something sa fishery yan. Well, sa agri, obviously, you have lots of people. Ito nga ang compounding problem dyan is you add on the development. See, there's the rapid land conversion. If you go to Central Luzon, for example, those rice fields as you see previously or before, ngayon, ano na nakikita mo? Malls, subdivisions, factories. And there's not much left. And then you assess everything. You have increase in demand and you lower your area for supply, then that will be chaos later on.